tonight on the South Today. Emergency firefighters from Macraes Gold Mine among the crews climbing stairs at the Sky Tower Challenge. The strength of flooding stop banks along the Matoda River are being called into question by residents. And the Coronet Peak 75th anniversary celebrations continue with retro skis and fashion on display. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Hannah Wilkins. Firefighters from across Otago and Southland were among the dedicated crews tackling this year's Firefighter Sky Tower Challenge over the weekend. More than 900 firefighters from across Aotearoa ran up the 51 flights of stairs at the Auckland landmark, carrying up to 25 kilos of gear.
Kitting up in breathing gear and protective clothing, Southern firefighters joined colleagues from around the country in the annual Sky Tower Challenge. It was the 18th consecutive year of the fundraising event, and some participants had a personal reason to take on more than 1,000 stairs.
To turn around and give support to my stepfather, who's recently been diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Members of the emergency response teams from Oceania Gold's Macraes mine among the crews competing in the event. Months of training paid off for the 10-person mine team from East Otago, who were still able to smile after completing the gruelling 51-flight challenge while carrying 25 kilos of gear and wearing protective suits.
I'm here to support the Leukemia Trust, and after our fundraising effort by the team, we're going to climb the Sky Tower.
Together with their emergency response colleagues from the Waihi gold mine near Tauranga, the Oceania Gold crews raised more than $65,000 for Leukemia and Blood Cancer New Zealand. But many were relieved to get their tired and sweaty bodies to the top of the Auckland landmark.
Oh, it's definitely harder than I remember. Oh, great stuff though.
This year's event had been postponed from May due to COVID-19, with firefighters collectively raising more than $1.2 million at this year's challenge. From Auckland, the South Today.
Plans by the government to allow city and district councils to own their own bus services have been met with support for the Tramways Union. The Sustainable Public Transport Framework would let councils own public transport assets, such as bus companies and the fleet. Several private transport companies are opposed to the idea, but the Tramways Union supports the move. It says bus drivers have endured years of appalling working conditions and have had enough. Local Government New Zealand is also backing the change and claims council ownership of public transport could be a key part in tackling climate change. Concerns have been raised over future effectiveness of stop banks along the Matoda River. Environment Southland held a drop-in clinic at Matoda recently to provide local residents with more information.
Addressing residents' concerns, Mataura locals had the opportunity to attend a drop-in clinic recently regarding stop banks on the Mataura River. The river's flows have been relatively stable over the last 30 years, but Paul House of Environment Southland says NIWA predicts the next 20 years could be different as weather patterns and climate change take effect. That could result in more frequent floods at a higher level and for longer duration.
The flood banks have worked really well for the last 30 years and they've done the job that they were supposed to do. But the job that they need to do in the future is going to be more challenging, and so that's why we're working hard to figure out what changes we need to make.
The river has been in the back of residents' minds for more than 100 years. Local Tom McCord recalls his father telling him of the 1913 flood, where guns were fired in the early hours of the morning to warn residents of the flooding threat.
He heard a shotgun going off, bang, bang, you know. So he thought he'd get up and see what the noise was about. And there were men out in boats with a shotgun waking people up.
Environment Southland has already completed an assessment of the Mataura River stop banks at both Gore and Waimumu. It's hoping to complete an assessment of the stop banks that protect Mataura by Christmas. In Mataura, the South Today.
Hundreds of people lined George Street on Saturday to watch their family members and friends who were graduating from Otago University. Sunny weather greeted the graduates as they marched in the procession from the Otago Dental School to the Dunedin Town Hall. Former Pacific Edge Chief Executive David Darling spoke at both of the afternoon ceremonies. In his speech, he emphasised how important people were and what a difference their actions could make. His challenge to the graduates was to go out and make a difference as they enter the working world. Surviving a rugby season undefeated is always a very good effort. Now, a young group of rugby-playing girls from Central Otago have managed to get through their club rugby season without losing a game. 4 teams of young Southern rugby players came head-to-head at the end of their season, with the Wahine from Dunstan the ones to beat. No one managed to topple the competition leaders, who swept away the team from Mount Aspiring College in the final, 49 points to 14. Paula Clark from the Central Otago women's rugby team was at the finals and was impressed with the rugby being played.
So we have 4 schools in the Central Otago area, and we've been playing this competition for this cup for the last 4 years. So it's Mount Aspiring, Wakatipu, Cromwell College and Dunstan High School.
Hayley Harris was named Player of the Day after converting all 7 of the tries scored. The team stuck to the game plan, resulting in points being scored out wide, along with some individual flair from players. Queenstown's Coronet Peak ski field has been making the most of its 75th anniversary, rounding out a week of festivities to celebrate the milestone. Special events included a few nods to the ski area's history, like a challenging race featuring old-fashioned straight skis and a fashion parade showcasing retro ski styles.
An exciting day at Coronet Peak in Queenstown. Coronet Peak is celebrating its 75th anniversary this week as New Zealand's first commercial ski field. Festivities were in full swing, with events like the straight ski race and Dash for Cash showing off skiers' abilities. A $5,000 prize was split between the men's and women's categories for the Dash for Cash event. Skiers used a mix of running and speedy skiing to come out on top.
It was tiring, super exciting, really nervous at the start. My legs were shaking and everything, and once it was gone, it was, gone.
The entry fees from the event go toward the Bruce Grant Youth Trust, which supports young achievers in the Wakatipu. The long lunch was another top-tier event for the day. Sir Henry Wigley's children attended the event, along with NZ Ski CEO Paul Anderson. Coronet Peak Ski Area Manager Nigel Kerr says he is stoked on how the event turned out.
There's a lot of fun in here, but there's also a bit of relief that yes, a year's work is coming to fruition.
At Coronet Peak, the South Today.
Whai Yakane still to come on the South Today. After 3 years on ice, cross-country skiers made the snow farm near Wanaka their competitive playground. And over the hill in Queenstown, mountain runners were in town over the weekend.
Earth is a planet of extremes. Extreme places and extreme animals. But some animals are more extreme than others. Join us as we count down to find the most unusual, the most extraordinary, the most extreme.
Well, mate, I'm thinking about getting a new ute.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. MolMat is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life. Every day the team at Gillian supports grieving families at their time of need, from answering your questions to organising a farewell that reflects the wishes of your loved one. We can help. Call Gillian's today.
Great Britain has a collection of varied landscapes and countryside to rival anywhere else in the world. And the best way to see it is to walk.
Tēnā koe, welcome back. Cross-country skiers got the chance to prove themselves over the weekend at the Snow Farm after a 3-year break. The Skate Ski National Championships saw about 50 competitors racing each other over the 10-kilometre course near Wanaka.
Giving their all, about 50 cross-country skiers slogged it out on multiple laps at the State Ski National Championships at Cardrona's Snow Farm on Saturday. Waiorau Nordic Sports Club President Bruce Clulo was pleased to have the event back after a 3-year absence caused by COVID-19 and snow conditions. He believes the event's important as an encouragement for younger skiers.
We've got a core group of upcoming young skiers that show a lot of potential, and it's really important to have these races and events at a national level to give them some recognition.
Other people enjoying the beautiful weather included casual cross-country skiers and a team of Paralympic skiers from Canada who visit Snow Farm for 3 weeks each year.
Kind of the cornerstone of our training for us in the summer, to be able to come down here and really work on technique and focus on snow. And you can't ask for a more beautiful place to come train.
The next big event at Snow Farm is the Merino Muster, a 21-kilometre long-distance race scheduled for this coming weekend. Near Cardrona, the South Today.
Almost 80 competitors took part in this year's New Zealand mountain running event in Queenstown over the weekend. The race is held at different Whakatipu locations each year, with this year's run heading up the scenic Deer Park Heights for the first time. There was a strong turnout, with almost 80 runners taking part. And co-organiser Neville Britton hopes the spectacular scenery will encourage competitors to spread the word for next year.
We're hoping that once these athletes get back and tell everyone how spectacular the course is, and Queenstown is as well, they'll want to come back and do it again.
The junior course was just under 6 kilometres in length, while the seniors slogged it out for the 8.5 kilometre course. And now, recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Emergency firefighters from Macraes Gold Mine were among those climbing stairs to raise money at the Sky Tower Challenge. The strength of flooding stop banks along the Matoda River are being called into question by residents. And Coronet Peak's 75th anniversary celebrations have continued, with retro skis and fashion on display at the ski area. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, and we welcome the editor, Barry Stewart. Kia ora, Barry.
Hello, Hannah.
What's in your paper tomorrow?
Well, excuse me. Potentially, we have some good news for bus drivers. Otago Regional Council is considering giving them a top-up in wages.
Great,
in light of the shortage of drivers in the industry.
That's good
so,
news, yep.
Yeah, good news for them. So we'll see how that proposal goes. The Ombudsman has slammed the Otago Correctional Facility for the unacceptable use of CCTV cameras in cells. So,
right.
So there's a few other issues as well. So we have an analysis of that report. Also, Mike Houlihan, our health reporter, is again looking at some troubling trends in the health field, where there's still a significant waiting list to see surgeons, etc.
Right.
And lots of people are impacted.
Gosh,
on
okay. Oh, we look forward to reading all those stories, some heavy ones in tomorrow's paper.
Okay.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
And time now for a look at the weather.
The South Today weather, proudly brought to you by MoleMap, the skin cancer detection specialists.
Looking at the situation, it's becoming warmer for most of the region tomorrow as northwesterly airflow arrives ahead of a cold front due on Wednesday. Heading to the top of the South Island, light winds and north to northwest winds are up around here tomorrow. 16 in Nelson, 15 with clouds for Greymouth and fine in Christchurch with 14 degrees. Travelling to South Canterbury and North Otago, high cloud increasing with light northerlies as we move down through the middle of the island. Ashburton and Timaru get up to 16 degrees tomorrow, with the Waimaro only slightly lower, 15 degrees. Westwards now to the Central Lakes, more high cloud as we make our way over here with a mix of north and northwest winds for everyone. 17 for both Wanaka and Alexandra and a top temperature of 15 over in Queenstown. Heading further south, freshening northwesterlies make their way through these parts with clouds increasing throughout the day. Expect highs of 16 in Balclutha and Gore, with the Catlin still in for a nice day, registering up to 15 degrees. Now down to the deep south, mostly fine tonight in Invercargill with a low of 5 degrees. Tomorrow brings a bit of cloud and the northwesterlies stick around for most of the day before late rain develops. During the day it'll warm up to 15 degrees. Wednesday looks overcast with rain to start and easing to showers when the south west winds pick up. Looks a bit cooler midweek, getting up to 13 degrees. And lastly, heading to Dunedin, a spot of cloud tonight with northeasterlies down to 5 degrees. Fine with patchy low cloud in the morning, which will make way for sun and high cloud with northeasterlies. Expect a high of 14. And into Wednesday, overcast with a few spits of rain and early northerlies before an afternoon with more frequent showers and breezy southwesterlies. Still warm though, with a high of 15 degrees. And that's the news this Monday. For the latest news and videos from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again tomorrow. Ka kite popo.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.